In today's video, I have partnered up with LTO Network, and I'm going to be explaining to you exactly what LTO Network is, what it does, how it works, and what its current and future projects are. I'm going to be explaining it in very simple to understand terms so that everybody can follow on and get a grasp of understanding what LTO Network is, even if you don't have an extensive crypto background. This is because I know firsthand how frustrating it is when you're getting into the crypto game and you're trying to learn about what a crypto truly does. It's so hard to get a grasp of what it does and understand what's going on because the terms when you first see them can seem quite hard to understand and alien. But realistically, once they're broken down and you understand what they properly do and are, you can get a much better grasp of what the crypto is, what it does, and what you want to do going forward. So let's jump into taking a look at LTO Network and what it does, and thank you to them for partnering up with me on today's video. So LTO Network, as you can see on their website, is Europe's leading blockchain. Now, it's in the top 15 blockchains worldwide with 100,000 daily transactions and 90 plus nodes. But what does this mean? Firstly, it's a hybrid blockchain. But what is a hybrid blockchain? How does it work? And what even is a blockchain? So firstly, a hybrid blockchain is a combination of public and private blockchains. So a private blockchain is only accessible to a certain amount of people and it is controlled by those same certain amount of people. However, a public blockchain is where anybody can access it and anybody can use the blockchain. So what is a blockchain? That might be the next question. Now, a blockchain is a record of transactions that are made in the cryptocurrency space, and they're kept in a nice big block that is verified mathematically by computers. And that record of transactions stays there forever in like this peer-to-peer network. So therefore, a hybrid blockchain, which is what LTO Network is, it has elements of the public and private blockchain, meaning that on certain points, anybody can access the data, the transactions, and edit them. However, on other places like the private side of the blockchain and the hybrid, then only a certain amount of people and only a certain group of people can access, view, and edit these transactions. And some of the transactions that may be stored inside this public or private blockchain may be, data upon how many transactions have gone through via selling stuff, or how much cryptocurrency has been sent to a person Y or X, or, it might be data in terms of verified identity credentials. So really the blockchain is almost like a data store for lots of different data. And depending on if it's public and private, there's different people who can access it. So since LTO Network is a hybrid blockchain, we now understand what a hybrid blockchain is. What exactly are the advantages of being a hybrid blockchain as opposed to just being a public one or opposed to just being a private one? One of the key things about a hybrid blockchain is that let's say there was a company that wanted to enter into the blockchain space and start using blockchain for its, transactions or to store data from its company and so on. The great thing about a hybrid blockchain is that this company could integrate the whole of the blockchain advantages and the whole of the blockchain system into its current workflow without having to overhaul and change their current system completely. So it almost works like a bit of an add-on. So for example, if I had a company and I decided that I wanted to streamline my process and increase my efficiency within noting down my transactions or when a shipment might be coming or when a shipment might be going out and so on, to streamline my process, I might decide to take up a blockchain approach to the management of all the data and transactions, because this would mean I could save money. I could integrate the hybrid blockchain and that whole setup that would bring me all of these advantages without having to completely start and lose all my previous data and record of transactions with my company, my hypothetical company. So I can kind of merge all of my data that's not in the blockchain with this new blockchain, and it basically means that the whole efficiency process is increased massively if it was suitable for my hypothetical business. Whereas if I was going to do that with a non-hybrid blockchain, I guess ultimately I would have to start again from scratch and overhaul my whole system. So for example, once the hybrid blockchain has been integrated into the workflow of a company, it aims to streamline and automate the process of the data flow and the transaction flow, anything that may be occurring in the business. And the higher efficiency that comes with this often means that there is money saved. For example, LTO Network have worked with the Dutch ministry on waste transport and using blockchain to keep a record of transactions and business logistics and sharing that data of all the waste transport with competitors and governments in an easy way on the hybrid blockchain. By doing this, the Dutch administration were able to save 7 million euros by incorporating and using the hybrid blockchain, the blockchain, to their advantage as opposed to being off the blockchain. And this all came from storing data on the blockchain. And if you'd like to discover more about this, there's a great video on the LTO website where they explain how it works and what they did and so on, and how they was able to save money. But I think, as it says here, this is a great use case of how a hybrid blockchain like LTO can be used in a positive way to increase efficiency and to ultimately save organizations money. Because I think if you look at this use case, if you see somebody that's saving money, obviously everybody wants to save money. So it poses a very positive use case for hybrid blockchains and blockchains in general. Now, we were saying earlier on about the hybrid blockchain. We now know what it is. And the thing that's so unique about it as well is that you can choose to integrate blockchain at your own pace via nodes. So a node is almost like a store of data and transactions, for example, and you can join an existing kind of automized store, or you can create your own node. And by essentially creating your own, you start from scratch and you build your own system, or you can join a pre-made one that slowly introduces you normally into the blockchain process. So a second ago, we looked at a use case where they was able to save 7 million euros by streamlining the process of waste management transactions. Right now, again, we're going to take another look at how the hybrid blockchain of LTO is really benefiting and streamlining another process, which is open source land registry, where it's working with the United Nations and has been over the last years to release the world's first open source land registry, taking on a new challenge of assigning all the unclaimed land in Afghanistan, and all the land disputes has now been solved via a new system that LTO has built with the UN on the hybrid blockchain. So this use case for the hybrid blockchain came about because in Afghanistan, a lot of the land was unclaimed and there was a lot of disputes about who owns what section of land. So what the UN decided to do in partnership with LTO was to create a new system based on blockchain, because as we were saying earlier, once there's a record of transactions on the blockchain, that is there forever. It can't be destroyed or altered. So if something happens in the future, there won't be any disputes about who owns what, because there's always a record of the transactions. So you can just look back and see what happens. But they were working together to create a system on the blockchain, which is open source, where you can mark down who owns what piece of land. And then LTO would also issue the occupancy certificates. And again, this is such a great use case of blockchain, because obviously now every time there's a new record of who owns what land, or there's a new piece of land issued to this person, there's a new transaction on the blockchain. So this really does create a lot of transactions on the blockchain, and it's a prime use case for blockchain, because there's nothing else that would work as well as this, in my opinion, and hence the UN's opinion, hence why they did it with the LTO, the blockchain company, hybrid blockchain company. There's nothing else that would work as sustainably, as efficiently, and settle disputes as quickly as using hybrid blockchain for this. Because there's elements that are public, which everybody can see who owns what. The record's there forever on the public side of the blockchain. And then there's obviously, if necessary, a private blockchain where transactions that the UN need to maintain or Afghanistan government need to maintain can be kept private. So having the hybrid side of things is absolutely great. They created this system from scratch, I believe. They turned it into a overhaul. And I think going forward, it's a very exciting project, because other countries may seem to follow suit and use hybrid blockchain, LTO's model, to issue land in an open source way. Again, if you would like to learn more about this, I recommend watching the Open Land Registry Solution video on their website. And here's the UN's article on how it's all going to work and what the aim is behind it. So now what I thought I'd do is take a look at a few more use cases of LTO Network before we move on to a few more comparisons between hybrid, public and private blockchain, and then take a look at the LTO financials in terms of market cap and price. So in terms of more use cases, so once we obviously know what a hybrid blockchain is, we can see that that is kind of the fundamental level of allowing businesses to become more efficient, or governments, or it's the fundamental foundations for integrating blockchain into society and so on, in my opinion. And I think now what is great, because once they lay them foundations, you can then move on to some more niche use cases that will ultimately help integrate blockchain into society. So another way that LTO has got a very good use is their digital signatures on blockchain, providing immutable evidence by publishing the timestamped evidence on digitally signed documents. So obviously signing documents on the internet over the last years has become a massive thing. And is there proof, where once if you lose the document and so on. And what this is sign request, where you can sign a document, and then via the blockchain, as we were saying, once something's on the blockchain, it can never be lost. It's always there. There's a record of it forever. So you can sign a document online, and that's there forever. And then it gives you absolute, clear, undisputable evidence of a time and date of when it was signed. It gives you authenticity, and it gives you verification. So it kind of helps remove the challenges of no, I didn't, you're lying, and it helps create concrete evidence around what document was signed and when it was signed, which is great for business. And this kind of clarity will help bring blockchain into society, because everybody wants clarity amongst the Internet of Things. On a similar level, I'm going to touch on 2 more use cases, and then you can explore the rest by yourselves. Legal contracts on blockchain, because you can receive a fully negotiated and execute contracts that also get hashed on the blockchain by answering a few questions on your smartphone. So we can see again, contracts and legal contracts can be confusing, time consuming, and it's hard to sometimes get the process efficient. But by doing it on the blockchain, it reduces the amount of time consumption, it reduces the confusion, and it helps automate the process, because it means that the contracts occur in a digital format instead of paper, because a computer can't read paper as such, but it can read what is ever on the screen in code. So it helps create automated process of that. And the way that contracts are often sent back and forth, by doing it on the blockchain, it creates clarity that can't be changed, and it helps streamline that sort of process. And finally, the last use case I want to take a look at is one of their use cases with IBM, one of their partners, where they're looking at digitization is key to driving sustainability and transform forward. So there's environmental data stored on the blockchain, where data insights combined and mined creatively to help us better understand our true impact of the environment. So it helps really a store of data to monitor how we're changing our environment, how we're altering it, what's gone on over the years, and we'll be able to collect all this data and use this data going forward, because it's securely stored on the blockchain. So you can see that data won't be vulnerable, because it won't be manipulated. It will be there forever, because it's very important, and digitization helps streamline that process and give access to anybody who needs it. So if you wanted to have a look at more of their projects, please feel free to go on their website and take a look at them. And again, if you wanted to take a look at their partners, we've touched on a few, the UN, IBM, and a few others. We can see all their partners are here. Finally, for a bit more clarity about what the hybrid blockchain is versus public and private, we can see we've got the definitions here. We can see in terms of transparency, we talked about as well, public is completely transparent, private is certain people, hybrid is a bit of both. Incentives on public blockchain, there's an incentive to grow the network, to share data, because it gets bigger and bigger. The private blockchain doesn't really have that as much because it's private, but the hybrid blockchain has a bit of both, which is obviously great. And then use cases, again, the hybrid blockchain is best suited for projects that are neither public or private, and it's very effective, as we can see here, in banking, finance, IoT, and other industries. We can see that hybrid blockchain is not so costly relative to public. It does carry the basic properties of blockchain. Now, I've already touched on many of the use cases, but I'd recommend, if you wanted to look at more use cases for the hybrid blockchain, have a look on the 101 Blockchain's website. And if you want to look at the LTO use cases, again, head over to their website. And taking a look at the LTO financials currently, just to end off this video, we can see that their market cap is $158 million. Fully diluted market cap is $226 million. Their circulating supply is 282 million, with their max supply at 403 million. So we're 70% of the way in. And we can see over recent years, it's gone on a big ride. We can see it's recently shot up in this current crypto boom, having a slight pullback before rebounding again. And its market rank is 323. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope this helps clear up what a hybrid blockchain is, how LTO is using the hybrid blockchain to move forward in society with blockchain technology, and a few of their use cases and so on. I hope you enjoyed it. For transparency, I'm not a financial advisor, so anything I say in this video should not be taken as grounds to invest. This was simply an educational video partnered up with LTO Network, where I'm explaining to you what they are, what they do, how they work, their projects, and so on. So thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. I hope you found it very informative, and I'll catch you again soon.